Good morning.
Morning, Rosa.
How
Morning,
are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh, this is what it looks like on Zoom.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here,
Uh-huh.
I don't usually keep it this way. It's the default, but
Oh,
up is the 360-degree view of the room.
yeah.
And then you can see the cameras kind of like trying to track me. This is the
Right.
owl device, right? So I usually drop the 360, which I'm going to take care of right now.
I was gonna say, how do you do that? Because I know I don't think I've ever actually do you do it on the phone or do you do it on the computer?
So the owl device is connected to an app.
Right.
I use the app to remove the 360-degree view. I
Uh-huh.
can also change from this autofocus to a manual control. So let's say I don't want the
Oh,
camera to follow me anymore and I wanted to
right.
zoom in on something on the whiteboard,
Yeah.
then I just turn it over to manual control and I direct it that way.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to play around with it
Yes,
so that I can actually be able to not have it follow me all the time.
I know, right? Isn't that a little bit of a nuisance?
Yes, it is. I was like, what is it doing now?
Ileana,
I move around.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, me too. I am bouncing all over the room.
Yeah.
Okay, Ileana, I just made you co-host. Ileana, by the way, this is Rosa. She is our director of Puente. Ileana is our embedded tutor.
Yes.
She is present with us in each of our classes, and she makes herself available multiple times throughout the week for the students if they have any questions.
Oh, very cool.
She's my spotter on Zoom. She lets me know if I'm on mute and I'm talking into a muted screen and no one can hear. And she also reinforces various other tips that I provide. So
That's awesome. Well,
I appreciate it very
congratulations, Juliana, for being the spotter.
much.
Hi, Gladys.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Do you have a flower in your head?
On my head?
Yeah. Or what is?
It's
Oh,
my
it's your
butt.
hair.
It's my
Oh,
hair.
you know what? I saw the sunlight coming over like, and I just saw like a little bit. So I was like, oh, it looks like you're wearing like a red rose or something in your hair. But it's your hair. Okay, I get it. Good morning, everybody else. Let's see if they answer. Hi, Luis. Hi, Oel.
Hi, Rosa.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Joel.
Are you all awake? Are you having your coffee? Are you having your tea? Are you having your water? What are you all having?
Water's good.
Water's good. Okay, good.
Okay, everyone. So while we are waiting for others to join us, okay, and while I'm getting our attendance ready, I want you to take out your George Washington Gomez novel. We are making progress throughout this novel. We will be reading this story for the rest of the semester. For last week, you were supposed to read from page 35 to page 58. And for this week, you'll notice when you look at our homepage that there's a big jump. We're going to skip about like 50 pages and we're going to jump to around page 107, okay? And we'll be starting from there. So depending on where you're at, obviously that's up to you with where you are for today, but understand, okay, where you're supposed to be with the reading. Take this opportunity to re-engage with the text to catch up on your reading now. As you read, I want you to pay attention to any line, okay, spoken by any character that you think is outstanding, okay? It strikes you for some reason. Could be personal, could be somehow insightful, but that's called a golden line, okay? So as you are reading, I want you to come up with 2 golden lines, okay? And it doesn't even have to be something uttered by a character. It could be something that the narrator says, okay? So please use this time while we're waiting for others to join us to read and to start identifying a couple of golden lines that stand out to you. Any questions about our initial activity here? Okay, go ahead and get that started. I'm going to type that into the chat right now. Remember, questions are welcome, comments are welcome at any time. Just unmute yourself or type your questions into the chat.
Professor Garner, I do have a question.
Yeah, go for it, Gladys.
You said that we're gonna skip pages. So start reading at 107 to 132. Are we not gonna read those pages, the ones that we're skipping?
I'm going to make that optional. Okay. Yeah, this is as you can see, this is a really long novel. And when thinking about what were the absolutely most essential parts of the novel that you need to understand the story and fitting that within our time frame, I thought I can get rid of this chunk there. Okay. I think it's a very important part of the novel, but if you don't read that, you can still understand how Gualinto grows. You can still understand a lot about him. Okay. So I'm not saying that it's not important, but I am not requiring that little section there. Okay.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify and make sure.
Of course, of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. So for those of you that just came in, we are reading George Washington Gomez, okay? Obviously, that's depending on wherever you're at in the story. And I want you to identify 2 golden lines, okay? These are lines that stand out to you for some reason, okay? An extra book? No, I don't. I only have the text that I have. You did receive one, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay, all right. Oh, and can I see your wristbands? Got it. Thank you very much. Okay. And your name again is? Emily. Very good to see you. Jasmine, good. Okay, everyone. So right now I'd like to take another couple minutes. I'm going to set the timer. Please make sure that you have found your golden lines. And remember, when you're looking for a golden line, please also include the page number, okay? It is very possible that these golden lines that we find right now will help you to write the discussion board due later this week, okay? And the discussion boards, as we continue, will be focusing more on George Washington Gomez. Remember, we're moving away from House on Mango Street. And the discussion board for this week, if you've already looked in the module, is about one of our major characters, right? And that's up to you to choose them, okay? You're going to have to select a major character and tell us what you've learned about this character based on their actions. So obviously Gualinto is the major character, but there are other important ones too. like his uncle Feliciano, okay? His mother, his father. So nonetheless, remember that this little activity now is just a warm up for us and to kind of see what you think, but it's something that will also be connected and help you with writing that discussion board later. So save these notes. Please include your page number when you do share. All right, so I'm going to set the timer right now. We've got about 2 more minutes, and then we'll check in on your golden lines.
Good morning, Professor. Hey, have you taken attendance yet?
No, not yet. I'm in the process of scanning. I'll do the verbal attendance after we do our exercise right now. Okay, everyone, for that timer, that means let's check in and see what you found. Okay, now remember, there's no requirement where you found the golden line as long as it's from George Washington Gomez. Okay. You do not need to type the whole quote into the chat. I think that would probably take a little bit long, but you can do like a quick summary, just like a few words and tell us the page number. Or you can unmute yourself and read the quote. I think that is something that would be another option too. So anyone want to step in and go first? What were some lines that stood out to you? Yeah, Melissa, what did you see?
I would say when he's, it's the dad that died.
Gumersindo?
Yeah, when he said that he doesn't want his child to grow hate.
Yeah.
That really.
Okay. I don't know if all of you could hear that, but Melissa was talking about, this is like Gumersindo's like dying wish, right? So Gumersindo speaking to Feliciano says no hate, right? And then this is my crude paraphrase, no hate. And what page was that on? Do you know, Melissa?
21.
Page 21. All right. Write that up here on the board. I think this is following me. Excellent. Okay, very good. Other things other lines that stood out to us.
Can I add?
Yeah, Angeli, please tell us, what'd you find?
It's from the same page, 21, and from the same character when he says, "What did I come here from Mexico for? Because I thought that here I could find work and peace."
Yeah. Oh, man. What was it that struck you about that line? There's so much there.
He seems like he has no hate for the other people.
Huh?
Like he's well, Feliciano does. He seems like a very peaceful person, even if those people made really bad decisions towards him.
Yeah, Gomercindo is, yeah, I don't want to say passiveness exactly, but yeah, that pacifist quality of his, right, is really unique. What I think is even more outstanding is that he and Feliciano are always together, right? And Feliciano, as you point out, he is much more combative, right? He's ready to fight. And he was literally a part of a resistance to secede a part of Texas back to Mexico. He attempted to do that, right? And in this, they have this close relationship. They are connected, right? So I'm glad that you brought up this quote too. I'll do the beginning of it. What did I come here from Mexico for? That's also on page 21. This gets such a great question because it gets us to think about purpose. Okay, and movement. What moves us to do what we do or to go where we go? What are we willing to sacrifice to get what we want? Now, of course, Gumersindo has this fantasy, and I don't mean that in a way, in a dismissive way. I just mean like we all have ideas and fantasies of what we think a place is going to be like, right? And we can see he constructs America, right, or this place that he goes to as a place that will be peaceful, a place where he can find work, a place that will be better for his family. But how does that compare to his real world experience, right? And of course, we can compare that right there to the fact that he's on his deathbed speaking to Feliciano, and he's continuing that message, right? When he's saying no hate, okay? So we're gonna see, how does this play out in this story? In a story that's based on his son's name, George Washington Gomez, right? The fact that he continues that idea in the name of George Washington that he gives to his son, okay? So just like you all, when you write your papers, you have a thesis statement at the end of your introduction, the beginning of your paper though, right? Writers very often kind of put their thesis, okay, for their story early in the story, right? Good writing is very symmetrical, right? It's even and it's consistent. And what we see at the very beginning is like this thesis, right? Well, what is this place called America? Is it Gomersindo's dream, okay? Or is it more like what Feliciano thinks of it, right? This place that is a land of conquerors who have robbed and stolen, taken things unjustly, okay? And then because of their relationship, they set up these really important questions of, well, how do we cope living in this place, right? Because what is the burden that Feliciano must carry with him? What is it that Gumersindo asked Feliciano to do? To not teach him hate, yeah. And how would Feliciano teach him hate?
By saying like how he was not liking the people.
Well, sure, certainly how he was not liking the people. I think More literally or directly, it's don't tell him how I died, right? There's a secret here, okay? Feliciano must keep the secret of how Gualinto's father died, okay? That's very important. And these two quotes are part of that page, okay? And if you were confused as to how Gomercindo died, don't worry about it. That's right. It was a little confusing. It was a series of flashbacks, right? Where Feliciano is walking and he's kind of thinking back to this time when he discovered, okay, Gomercindo's body. He was doing something else, right? A little bit is the literary style, okay? And there's some intention behind that. We don't have to analyze that. What's more, I think, important is the plot, the action that happens for our sake, right? There is a secret. How did my father die? That question must remain unanswered, okay? Or answered differently than the truth, okay? All right. Other things, other golden lines that stood out to us. Other characters of interest or other actions of interest. Okay, here's one that struck me. This is on page 38 for those of you that have your books with you. Type it into the chat right now, and then I'm gonna write it onto the board. Okay. This story starts in San Pedrito, right? This little town, okay? So underdeveloped, so impoverished, they don't live in houses, they live in huts, okay? After Gomercindo's death, it's too dangerous to live there. They move to a new town, a new city, Jonesville on the Grande, okay? And as they're going into the city, Feliciano runs into some deputies who he thinks are rangers, and they threaten his life. They literally pull a pistol out, and there's a little moment where Feliciano is actually studying the barrel of the gun, right, and trying to decipher what kind of a gun. It's a very strange moment. It's like if I'm going to die at that moment, I'm not thinking about the kind of gun. But it was, I think, a demonstration of focus. But symbolically, I think what we should take away from that moment is this is a place of danger too. They're not free from that danger, that threat that they had experienced previously. But take a listen to this line, which helps us understand how life is different in Jonesville. Feliciano marveled. He had never lived in a place like this before. He utters this after looking at this new house that he has just purchased from a job that he just got on the way into town. The judge protected him from those deputies who were harassing him, and he liked his character and he gave him a job, right? And now as a result of this job, he has a home that he's got for his family. I'm sure Esperanza might have liked a home like this. Maybe, I don't know. She's really picky at the beginning of the story. But again, I'll write that in here, okay? Feliciano marveled. He had never lived in a place like this before. And that is on page 38. Feliciano is not someone who's easily impressed. The fact that the word here is marveled, right? Marveled is a really powerful word that implies like wonderment, right? He's in awe of this, okay? Now, it's a pretty basic structure. It's just got 2 rooms, 2 big ones, okay? It's all wood right now, it's bare bones, but it is much better than that hut that he was in before. So what we should pay attention to at this point of the story is how are things changing for Feliciano, for the family, okay? I'm gonna write that up on the board right now. And at least for a moment, I'm gonna write it over here under reflection. Who else? So it's so much fun about writing on a board. There's no spell check. Ah, one L, and you. Okay, so we have our quote here. All right, so yes, this is one of my golden lines. I like it because it shows us a different side of Feliciano, okay? He's not so cranky right now. He's not being aggressive right now. This is a vulnerable expression of surprise and appreciation, okay? It does not happen very often for this character, right? But he's experiencing something new. Okay. So I encourage you, read, okay, George Washington Gomez, and write down your own golden lines throughout this week. Save them because you will use them for your discussion board, okay? You're gonna have to talk about a character, and what do we learn from the character? Sorry, what do we learn from this quote about the character, which you all have skill with now because you've been practicing with Esperanza in the house on Mango Street, okay? So same skill, right? All right, and the discussion board begins with this little prompt. Character is revealed through action. This is something from Aristotle, okay? The old philosopher who also talked about not just existence, but aesthetics, art, okay? And when examining stories, we can learn much more about our characters because of the actions that they engage in. So when you choose a quote, you should always ask yourself, what am I learning about the character? Okay, from this, all right? What is revealed to me now? Now, action does not always have to literally be action, right? Feliciano does not have to be punching someone, okay? Or walking somewhere. We can include, all right, speech, whether it's external, talking to someone, or internal, okay, what they're thinking. That Feliciano marbled really stands out to me, okay? All right, so keep reading, keep tracking quotes that stand out to you. Even if you don't know why initially, just write it down and the page number, okay? You might come back to that later. Okay, so we've done our George Washington Gomez reading and golden lines. I want to do a quick grammar review with you. Okay, so subjects and verbs. We need to get really confident with this, so little repetitions will help, okay? Remember that a subject of a sentence is usually a noun or a pronoun, okay? And a noun is a person, place, or a thing. So when we're looking for our subject, it's got to be a person, place, or a thing, okay? Sometimes it's a little more complex than that, but generally that'll help us. So let's look up here right now at this sentence that I have. Ileana, can you see the whiteboard okay, or should I do the manual control?
It's kind of hard to see, Dr. Gardner, to be honest with you. I'm trying to look at it as well, and it keeps shifting to the left of you.
I'm gonna move it on to
So,
manual control right now.
even the writing itself is really small and there's a little bit of glare on the whiteboard. So like I can see some of the words, but not all of them.
Let's see here.
And I definitely cannot see anything that you wrote on the right-hand side of the whiteboard.
Sure, that's okay.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
sentence that I want us to look at, I actually typed into the chat just in case there was that issue.
Okay.
Look at the first sentence. Feliciano marveled while I try to get control of the camera here. Get rid of present. Okay.
That looks better right there.
There we go. Is that good? Okay, I'm going to zoom in right now.
Zoom out, Professor.
You want me to zoom? You want me to move it
More
up?
or actually move it up. More up, more up. A little
Okay.
more. There we go. There we go.
Zoom in more.
That's fine. Well,
Okay.
from
So Alejandro, you can see it says Feliciano marveled.
yes,
He had never lived in a place like this before. Good.
yes.
And for all of you, if others are having difficulty, you can see in the chat the same sentences there. That's the one we're working with right now. Okay. So remember, the subject usually is going to be a person, place, or a thing. Okay. It's going to be some kind of a noun or a pronoun, which is just a substitute for a noun. Let's look at this very simple sentence here, right? Look at that sentence. 2 words. Feliciano marveled. Okay. What do we think is our subject there? What's our noun?
Feliciano.
Exactly. Feliciano is, right? So we're going to put a square, little block around that. It's our subject. Okay. It's not a Z, it's an S. And then that obviously leaves us with our verb, marveled. Okay. Getting skilled at identifying our subject and our verb are going to help us avoid fragments. It's going to help us know when we've got a complete sentence. Remember, there's no funny words before it. By that, I mean the subordinate conjunctions. Like if this would have been written because Feliciano marveled, okay, would this be a complete sentence? Because Feliciano marveled, period. What do you guys think? Yes or no? No, right? This word here makes this a dependent clause. It now needs to be connected, okay? So we've got to watch out for our subordinate conjunctions. Simple sentence, it's complete, okay? Doesn't have to be long, okay? All right, now let's go to the next sentence. He had never lived in a place like this before. What do you guys, this is a longer one, right? What do you think is the subject of this sentence?
He.
Yes, exactly, right. And you're getting a pattern here. Usually the subject is at the beginning of the sentence. It's not always that way, but okay, in this case it is. All right. Now, slightly trickier, what is the verb that's working with the subject?
Live.
Yeah, lived, right? We have a helping verb too, had. That helps us understand, well, when, okay, did this action take place, or when did this existence take place, okay? But that's our focus. Our subject is he, lived is our verb. Now, is this a complete sentence? He had never lived in a place like this before.
Yes.
Yes, it is. We have our subject, we have our verb, and the last quality is, can it stand alone? Yes, it can. We don't have those subordinate conjunctions at the beginning of it, okay? That are making it a little more complex or dependent possibly. Okay, so I want you, as you are reading, especially when you're finding your own golden lines, practice identifying subject and verb, okay? Analyze the language of the writers that you are reading. Okay, that's a way to help you get stronger with your own skills. Okay, now let's see here. We have This is also a simple sentence. You've heard me use that phrase just a little bit earlier. And I brought it up in lecture previously when talking about fragments and run-ons. Okay. A simple sentence doesn't mean that the ideas aren't good. It means there is only one independent clause. Okay. These two are a great example. Okay. This is a simple sentence. There's only one set of subject and verb working together. Okay. That's it. The next one is a longer sentence, but is it simple? Do we have only one set of subject and verb? He had never lived in a place like this before. So we have our subject and verb working with he had never lived in a place, okay? That could actually be the end of the sentence. We have no more verbs coming later, okay? So we only have one independent clause in this second one here. So therefore, it is still a simple sentence, all right? I say this to you because you cannot go by sentence length to determine whether a sentence style is different or not, okay? It's about how many clauses are there, independent clauses and dependent clauses, okay? This will become a lesson that we will focus a lot more on later in the semester when we work on style. And I say to you, you've got too many simple sentences here. We need to add variety to the writing, okay? And you'll say maybe, well, but my sentences are longer here, but you still only have one independent clause, okay? So look for sentences that have more than one. See if you can find those. But again, the skill that it comes back to is subject and verb identification, okay? Keep rehearsing that skill, okay? Can I find my subject? Can I find my verb? Is this standing alone? And you'll be in really good shape, okay? Does anyone have any questions about the subject and verbs or the sentence that we just looked at here? The one that's also written in the chat. Nope. Okay, great. So the next thing I want to do, we're going to shift gears and move away from George Washington Gomez. We are going to return to the papers that were just supposed to be turned in. Some of you did turn those in. Some of you are still working on those. There is a late policy. You are allowed to do that, okay? We're going to have to think about the consequences of not turning it in that best by date. But first, I need you to start to think about a few things related to writing that paper, okay? So let's go to our homepage. The start of our reflection question is there. Make sure my computer is prepped for that. All right, I'm going to share my screen right now. For those of you at home who would prefer to go to Canvas yourselves, feel free to do that. We're going to the home page. Look at the guiding question at the bottom. For those of you who are in class, I'll make sure to write it on the board for you. I want you to answer this question. What were obstacles to completing essay 1? Okay, just do that first question right now, all right? This is personal, this is for yourself. I will open it up and ask if anyone wants to share some obstacles that they encountered, okay? But this is primarily looking at what were barriers, what were things that got in your way as you were writing this, okay? So brainstorm right now, all right? And if you're still stuck, if you're still working on that draft, okay, you can participate in this too. What are barriers to you writing this first essay right now? We're going to do the first part of that question.
Professor, so I open up Canvas and you're saying this is a discussion thread?
No, it's on the homepage. So
Page.
if you're using it on your PC, then just select home and it'll take you to the page that I have. If you are using your phone, if you're using an app, then you probably are going to have to select on the week 7 module. Okay. And you select the week 7 overview page. Okay. And I'll
But
write.
our answer, we have to post it on Canvas, right?
No, for this is personal. We're going to be
Okay.
talking about this right now.
Okay.
So no, this is not something that you have to post. Okay. Not at the moment. All right. This is part of a larger exercise that we're going to talk about in just a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, so you are brainstorming barriers right now. What are things that got in your way? I really encourage you to write this down because you have a writing assignment that is due next Monday, and this little pre-writing activity will help you get that done. So take stock right now. What were things that got in your way? I am going to take attendance. So as you hear your name, see, I'm going to make sure to put this into the chat. And then I will take attendance. As usual, when you hear your name, please just pop in and let me know that you are here. Okay, Luis.
Here.
Thank you. Ryan. Here. Ryan, great. Thanks, Ryan. Emily, I know you're here. Great. Brandon. Brandon. Okay. Pedro.
Here. I'm here, mister. I'm
Hey,
professor.
Oh, hi, Brandon. Okay, great. Thank you. Pedro. Alejandro, I know you're here. Angel.
Here.
Great, thank you. Jasmine, I know you're here. Let's see. Christopher. Christopher. Oh. Okay. Angeli.
Here.
Thank you. Dyra. Okay. Stephanie.
Here.
Great, good morning. Gladys, I know you're here.
Here.
Gladys. Joel.
Here.
Great, good morning. Melissa, I know you're here. Consuelo.
Here.
Great, good morning. Yadira. Yadira. Okay. Maria. Maria. Okay, and Ruben. Ruben, great. Thanks, Ruben. Okay. All right, so make sure I'm not on mute anymore. Okay, so what I would like you to do right now is to look at that list of barriers, okay? And I want you to start to categorize them. What are things you can control, okay? If you can control it, put a circle around it, okay? We're always going to have obstacles in our way. Sometimes these obstacles are freak things. They just come out of nowhere. Sometimes they're recurring things or continuing things. Some things we can control, and there are other things that we can't. So right now, I want you to review that list of barriers that you have. What are the things that are in your control? What can you change? Okay, so does anyone feel comfortable sharing a barrier to writing essay one? Something that prevented them from getting it done either on time or even if you got it done on time, it was still a barrier. It made it harder, okay? Yes, Emily. Understanding the character. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Put this chair out of the way. Yeah, sometimes it's the text itself, it's the problem itself that we're working on, right? It just takes a little more time, right? Especially if we don't have a lot of practice doing that thing that we're being asked to do, okay? Great, thank you very much for sharing that. Other things that got in our way that made writing this essay or getting it done on time difficult. And it doesn't matter whether this is something that's in your control or whether it's out of your control. Yeah, Joel.
I think that the biggest challenge I had was the limit. You know how you said it was 4 pages long that it had to be? I'm not very used to working with those measures. We just like, I'm not used to teachers telling me, oh, you have to make it this long, or at least this long. So trying to express myself when I have that objective, it seems very hard, but I was able to do it. So
Okay. No, but that's what I wanted to know was like, what was a barrier? So I want to make sure I understand. It was having to write at least 4 pages, or did you feel like you couldn't write more than 4 pages?
it's not about it's not about the amount. It's more about the feeling that you have to write at least this many.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meeting a minimum Okay. Right, when we have assignment restrictions or requirements, okay, that we're not used to. Again, that's something we all have to adjust to. We've got to figure out how we've got to do that, right? Thank you very much, Joel, for mentioning that. Alejandro, go ahead. What was a barrier that you wanted to share?
An experience that I had doing the essay was preventing run-on sentences. And I think when you went over how to classify a independent clause or independent sentence, that it could have the ability to stand by like on its own. Well, that helped me out. So yeah, like I just wanted to comment on that. Like
Great.
it was something at first that seemed kind of difficult, but after you explained it, you gave us some tips, I was able to overcome it. And I enjoyed the essay.
So I'm going to generally put grammar as a barrier. And your specific example was great, the run-on. But you know, the other thing that I loved about your example is you anticipated where we're going to go next, which is what are those things that helped us, right? Not necessarily get over these particular barriers, but just in general helped us, okay? We'll call those things facilitators, right? They facilitated our success. They supported our success in some way, okay? And it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing, like you're only successful if you turned in the paper on time or you wrote it at like an A level, right? We can have little successes here and there because we have to get detailed and specific with finding what works, okay? And we got to hold on to those things that work for us because they are going to keep us moving forward, all right? Alejandro, you got ahead of the curve, which is good. I like that. Let's see if I can get a little bit more space here. Grammar lecture. Now, Alejandro, was it most helpful for the in-person lecture? I think that was like a couple of weeks ago, or was it the online lecture that helped?
No, Professor, I think the course you gave in person helped out a lot.
Good. Great. So, and that helps us to be even more specific there, right? In person. Excellent. Okay. Now, in this case, the barrier and the facilitator, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. They're directly connected. It doesn't always have to work that way. Okay. Great. So these are some examples of some barriers, and these are all directly related to the assignment, right? You can also have barriers that are external. Okay. A work barrier. I've had students say they're working till midnight at In-N-Out. They don't get home until like 1 o'clock. Okay, they don't start their homework until 1:30 or 2, right? And then they've got to wake up at like 8 to get to class. Okay, I remember having a student in one of my honors classes like a few years ago talk about that, trying to work 30 hours a week at In-N-Out and trying to write at 2 in the morning. Okay, so you know, for this student, that was a barrier to their success. And they had to think, well, what parts of this can they control? The student couldn't control whether they had the job or not. They needed the money, okay? So they needed to accept, I'm gonna have to work, okay? And I'm gonna have to work this many hours. But what they could control to some extent was the timing of the work, right? That work schedule might have been fine for the summer. It wasn't optimal for success in the fall. And so they had to make some adjustments and they were able to change the timing of that, right? So in that example, you have kind of a 2-for-1. The barrier, right, which is the work, okay? But then they thin sliced it and they were like, well, I can't just throw up my hands and say I got work. I can't do anything about it, right? Can I change the schedule, okay? Because it would be better for me to start writing at 8 o'clock at night, okay, rather than at 2 in the morning, okay? And so anyway, those are things that we don't have to share here now, but I'm going to show you a writing assignment in just a little bit where it will be that safe space for you to share those things. Because for us to improve, we've got to know what happened, okay? And what can we change moving forward, all right? So now let's shift our focus from barriers to facilitators. What things helped you, okay? Either overcome barriers or just what things gave you more confidence to do better. What things helped you feel prepared, okay, for the assignment. So brainstorm facilitators right now. Put them right next to the barriers, okay? You can make a T-chart. If you want to free write it, you can do that as well. So now, yes, Stephanie.
Well, for me, I would actually say that I had a communication with some of most of the whole class, so we were able to motivate ourselves.
Okay, great. So communicating with classmates motivated you to do the work.
Yes.
Thank you. Excellent. Alejandro, go ahead.
I just want to add to what Stephanie's saying. I think that the assignment you gave us of being able to complete the rough draft on time and having 2 peers review our rough draft, it helped me out because one of my peers actually recommended me or advised me on what I should follow up my next 2 pages. And I actually took their advice and it gave me like a plan or an idea of what I want to provide on my next 2 pages.
Excellent. So the peer review helped you plan and execute what needed to be done for the rest of the paper. Is that right?
Yes, Professor.
Peer review. And what's also implied, at least what I'm hearing in that suggestion, is that your rough draft wasn't perfect, right? You had more to do with the rough draft, but you turned the rough draft in and you got some feedback that helped you have a plan for moving forward. That's great. Yeah, Emily.
Joining office hours.
Joining office hours, yes. Office hours gave you some feedback for how to move forward with things. Good, excellent. And remember, with office hours, you have a couple of options. I have office hours. You can come in and chat with me. Ilyana has office hours. You can go in and chat with her. And you are always free to start on the chat, but then we can set up a Zoom session from there, okay? So we don't have to continue in that way. That's just the starting point for it, all right? Great. So we have some examples of barriers over here and some for facilitators on the right. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, keep these notes near you and with you because you have a reflection that is formal that needs to be turned in in less than a week, okay? I'm going to show you that assignment right now. Okay, so go to the week 7 module. I'm going to select that at the top of the screen. For those of you in class, I will do that for you here. Okay, and in the week 7 module, the assignment is revision, reflection, prompt. And remember, prompt is just academic speech for directions, okay? All right, so what I'd like you to do is to review the prompt right now and brainstorm. Ask any questions that you have about the assignment. This is our chance of having contact with each other. So I want to be here to clarify anything that might have been confusing.
When is this one due, Professor,
You can see right there for the due date, it's Monday of week 8. Okay, we are in week 7 right now. So the actual date is probably October, let's see, what is Monday? October 4th is a Monday. So I'll type that into the chat.
Professor, by what page do we have to be caught up by on Monday or Tuesday?
If you look at the homepage that we were just on, we're making a jump. So let me get that out. I know it's starting on 107. Okay, it's page 107 to page 132. Okay.
Hey, Professor.
Yeah, and you can see that on the homepage that we were just on and in the announcement that was sent out yesterday. Yes, Stephanie, go ahead.
What do you mean by effort?
Yeah, so when we think about effort, you know, if we have more time, this would be an exercise we would do, right? One of the skills that we have to learn before the midterm is definition, okay? We have to define our terms, right? So when you ask that question, that's critical. Effort, well, what do you guys think when you hear effort? What is effort about? Emily, putting in the work, okay? So you could look at how did you put in the work? When did you put in the work? What state of mind were you in when you put in the work, okay? Now, is effort about successful completion? No, it's not, right? Effort is about the attempt, okay? Trying to do the work, okay? So as you are defining effort, think about how am I putting in the work, okay? What attempts am I making, okay? And I'm asking you to describe that in the first paragraph, okay? Great question, Stephanie. Did that answer the question?
Yes.
Great. So how are you putting in the work? What attempts are you making? How are you trying? Other questions?
Professor Gardner, I have a question.
Yes.
So for this 2-page assignment, do students have to organize the paragraphs the way you wanted to, like in the first essay, meaning that there needs to be like a thesis statement for every paragraph?
The short answer is no. This is going to be different because it's a personal reflection. The description, and thank you, Ileana, for asking that question. The first paragraph helps us a little bit here, okay? There are no support sandwiches. You are not quoting from the house on Mango Street, okay? You are, in a sense, making a claim. You will need a topic sentence, right? What's your effort like? Okay, well, that's the claim that you're making at the beginning. But then you back it up by first talking about what did you do? Look at your past effort, okay, that you put into this. What was the work you put into it? All right. Most of the paragraph is going to be about recording what did you do, okay? Be specific, all right? The end of the paragraph is about what will you change, right? And that's why we were looking at barriers and facilitators. You can think about that in terms of effort, right? What were things that blocked my ability to put in more effort or better quality effort? What were things that influenced that? You can think about facilitators. What were things that promoted your effort, okay? Like I'm looking at, Stephanie, the one that you mentioned about communication with as a motivating factor, right? I would assume that in your case, the communication increased your effort because you felt more motivated, okay, when you were doing this in collaboration, right? When you were getting support and energy from your classmates. So the paragraph structure is a little different. It's a little more relaxed. Just tell me what you thought your effort was in the first sentence, and then back it up with support. Give me examples, give me details, okay? Help me to understand what impacted your effort. Then you move on to the next paragraph, strategies, right? How would you assess the strategies you used? Were they useful or not in general, right? Then go through and explain. What strategies did you use, okay? Again, you can think in terms of barriers and facilitators if that helps. And then you finish the paragraph with, what will you do next time? Are you going to keep some of these strategies and add some others? Are you going to scrap it and just do something completely different because it didn't work? That's up to you. Same thing with the third paragraph about seeking help from others, okay? So I want to point that out. Let's separate the seeking help from other strategies, okay, from strategies that are just individual, right? Like if you did an outline, that's perfect for the strategies paragraph. But if you're going to mention maybe the peer review, that's an example of seeking help from others, right? Okay, so let's keep those in two different sections to give you something new to say, all right? And then the last paragraph is looking at the changes you would have liked to make, okay? Creating kind of like a plan for revision, all right? Okay, great question, Ileana, thank you. Any other questions on this? And then Rosa, we can jump in after we finish up this little question session about the revision reflection, if you're all set for that.
Sure, sounds good, thank you.
Okay, so any other questions about the revision reflection? Remember, this is personal. You are not citing from the story. You are just pulling on details that explain how you got to where you're at. And of course, if you have questions, email me, office hours. Okay, we can set up a Zoom session, and Ileana is available to you too. Okay. All right, everyone. So I appreciate those of you who have been coming to class, both in person and online. But I will say that I am concerned about the amount of work that I'm getting coming in, okay? This is not to say you cannot use the late policy and the redo. That's what they're there for, okay? We're in a pandemic, okay? At the same time, I have shared that concern with Rosa, and Rosa reciprocates that. Rosa, is that fair to say you also have some concern?
Oh, absolutely, yes, yes. Yeah, I think and I appreciate, first of all, I just wanted to make sure that you all understood that, Dr. Gardner and I are in a partnership. We are here to support you. We are here to provide you with referrals, resources, guidance, whatever it is that you need. That's why you're part of this program. But at the same time, you've got to put in your share. And I also shared that with you all in the counseling class a couple of weeks ago. So I wanted you to know that periodically I will be coming to the English class because I want to hear, what is it that you're doing? It didn't sound unreasonable. Everything that Dr. Gardner, shared today did not sound like it was something that was going to be, it was going to take hours and hours and hours for you to do. But at the same time, I do understand, and I'm so glad that Dr. Gardner went through the, the barriers and some of the things that you were doing as well that really helped you to talk about, what are some of the things that you're doing. And I'm glad that Alejandro shared about, the run-on sentences, and then after he explained it, it worked. You've got it. You have to reach out to us. You have to reach out to Dr. Gardner. You have Ileana, who is here to also support you as well. And I think that this is a conversation that we all have to continue in the class, because just as Dr. Gardner is asking you, what do you need? I continue to ask you, what do you need? We are here to help you to be successful. We've been talking about it in the counseling class. What is your definition of success? And even Dr. Gardner said earlier today, that there are some sacrifices to get what you want and what moves you, right? What moves us. So goals, we just talked about goals and having that self-motivation. So yes, it's difficult. Yes, we're in a pandemic, and trust me, I'm sitting here in this class right now and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, is this what you all have to go through? Because, trying to look at the whiteboard that Dr. Gardner is showing, I can see how difficult it is. But if you all don't say anything, nothing's going to get done. I mean, he's not going to be able to say, okay, let me move this, let me zoom in, let me zoom out. So I want you all to know that you all have voices. I know some of you came in late. I made a note of that. So when we have our counseling appointment, that's something that we're going to talk about. I didn't hear Dr. Gardner. I know you, so Pedro is not there, right?
That's
so
right.
Pedro's not there. I wasn't sure if Daira was there as well, because I heard
Daira
you say
emailed me.
Daira.
Daira
She's there?
emailed me. She's not here.
She's not there. Okay, and then Yadira?
I did not hear a response from Yadira.
Okay,
I'm
and
here.
then,
I'm Daira. I'm here.
oh, what time did you come in, Daira?
I came in like a couple of minutes ago.
Girl, it is 9:14. What the
I'm
heck?
sorry. I had an appointment. I sent Dr. Gardner.
Okay, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about that later. Okay, you and I have an appointment today at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And then Yadira is not there.
No.
So no Yadira. And then you said Maria, but there's two Marias. Which Maria is it?
Rios?
Maria Rios, okay. And then Christopher looks like he just came in after Yadira or Daira. So you and I will also have a conversation, Christopher. So again, part of the reason why I'm here is as your counselor, I want to have a conversation with you all about, what are those continued obstacles that you're having? So not just in the essay writing, but just in general, right? Getting to class on time, doing the homework, speaking up, sharing, connecting with one another. And I'm so glad, and I even gave like a little heart emoji when, Stephanie said, I connected with my other with the classmates and to help us motivate each other. I was like, oh my God, like my heart, which just went pitter patter. And I was just like, oh, big old heart, emoji, and having the 2 peer reviews and everything else. You all have to continue to support each other, right? Like I said, we are here to support you as well, but it is not acceptable that you have not turned in. If you have not turned in the work, I'm talking to you. If you did turn in your work, great, continue to do that, put in the ganas. But for those of you who have not done that, when we have a conversation during the counseling meeting, you got to come clean. Because if not, I'm going to Dr. Gardner, and Dr. Gardner has already told me who has turned in stuff and who hasn't. So this is not okay. We're already in is this the 8th week?
Week 7.
The 7th week, yeah. So this is the 7th week. So you all have had plenty of time to have a conversation with Dr. Gardner, myself, and letting us know what's going on. And even with Ileana, you know, I'm glad that Ileana is actually showing her camera today, because it's important that you connect the person to, you know, the visual to the person that's trying to help you and support you. Okay, so you all should have a picture of yourself on your tiles. I've asked you to do that before at the very beginning, so that Dr. Gardner knows who you are, instead of saying, who are you again? Right? So show your faces, put a picture, not just the, you know, the nose, Luis, but, you know, like a whole picture. Okay, so that way we can continue to connect with you and know you. I don't want you all to hide. You should not be hiding. You can't hide. We're gonna find you. So does anybody have any thoughts as to what I just said? Like, yes, Rosa, you're right. Or
I really
okay.
like what you mentioned, Rosa. Thank you.
What part are you thanking me for?
Oh, well, just a matter of fact that you're making yourself present and you want us to continue working, you know, as Puentistas, being able to support each other, you know, and just continue to put in that effort. Thank you, Rosa.
Yeah, no, you know what? I appreciate you saying that, Alejandro, because, you know, as I said to you all a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, I don't even know. Time goes by so quickly. You know, there's a reason why you all are part of Puente. And so, you know, we have to continue you all have to continue to figure out what that means to you. I know what it means to me. I know you know, I think I have an idea as to what, you know, what it means to Dr. Gardner as well. But being a part of Puente is not just being a part of another English class. This is not just another English class. This is not just another program. So I want you all to be successful, but Dr. Gardner and I cannot do the work for you. We can't, you know, but we're also not mind readers. So you have to tell us what's going on. If you feel like this class is too early and I cannot get up, then you've got to figure out, okay, what am I doing the night before that I can't get up at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, or 7 o'clock, right? Because if this class is at 8, and if you have to take the bus, well, then let's have a conversation about that as well, right? So, so we need to hear your voices. We need to find out what's going on. But you all heard Jose talk about the time management and, you know, the whole idea of the si se puede. You know, it is possible. It's possible. You just got to put in a little bit of time, a little bit more effort on your part. So what are you attempting? How are you putting things, you know, how are you putting things together? What are you trying to do? I think I really appreciate that message as well. So if for those of you who have not scheduled an appointment with me, I'm going to go ahead and put up some more times. So keep an eye out for that in the next day or so. And then I'll be meeting with you all and having a discussion openly, honestly, and authentically. Okay?
Rosa, for
Yeah.
the meeting, the link wasn't working. So, well, do you think it's because of the?
Oh, it was because it's already full.
Okay.
So because it's already full now, I have to put up some other times. So now the other times will be for the week of October the 11th. Okay.
Rosa, thank you very much. Oh, Stephanie has a question or a comment.
Yes, so I joined like to be in a meeting with you, Rosa, but I haven't received a link on Zoom. It just says that it's gonna be on Zoom.
Yeah, you all should be getting appointments, Zoom appointments now. If you didn't, let me know, and then because usually they'll send me the link as well. But yeah, I can send you that link. But do you all have any questions or any thoughts about that that you want to maybe ask Dr. Gardner or regarding the English class?
Any questions about my policies? Yeah, Emily. You know what, given the size of our class, yeah, Okay.
I didn't hear her question.
You at home, Emily asked if you wanted to come in person each week, can you? And I would say, given the size of our class, yes. Okay, you can. All right. Initially, I started this structure because of our enrollment size and our spacing. Okay, but given just how on a weekly basis, when we're split, we're not getting more than like 3 to 5 people. I think if a few of you feel better about coming in regularly, and that's better for your engagement and your learning, I think that's just fine. What I would like though is if you could, maybe just for next week, email me. Let me know in advance, just in case, like if I get a flood of emails, then I can say, okay, hold on, we got to pump the brakes. Okay, but and because we're only allowed, like in this classroom, there are 18 seats. Okay, now when we started our class, we had like 19 or 20. So spatially, I could not accommodate all of you and meet the public health requirements. Okay, however, things are a little bit different now. All right, given our enrollment and just the frequency of attendance. Okay, but I want to be flexible, especially if it's better for your learning and we're still able to stay within the 18 total. Okay, so
that's a great idea.
Yes, come in each week if you want to. Okay, I'm still going to keep the structure as usual. Like I'll keep announcing, all right, this week, and that's more for priority. Like just in case I have to say, sorry, this is Group Gualinto's week. We don't have space. Okay, but I don't see that happening, right? We've never had more than like 5 people or 6 people in class at once. All right, so come in. If it's better for you in person, come in. I think we'll have a more dynamic class that way too. Okay, all of you at home, you're welcome to come in. Okay.
How many of you would prefer to come in person?
Give a thumbs up. Reaction. You can get a quick record. Okay. Well, yeah, you you don't give a thumbs up in the classroom. That's good.
Everybody's like raising their hand. Okay.
Good. I just want to comment on one thing. I haven't got vaccinated yet, so I mean I just have to go to the testings and.
Yeah, you just have to, at this point, at this stage, the college is requiring that you do the check-in system, okay? It has not implemented the mandatory vaccination yet. We are moving to a process where in October, it is going to be vaccinated or testing, okay? But that just hasn't happened just yet. If you are concerned about that, which makes sense, like I'll send you out some information on the policies so we're clear. Okay, what do you need to do to get to class? All right, for right now, you do the testing portal, not the test, you do the survey. Okay, you get the wristband, then you come in. Okay.
The other thing and I thank you so much for that, Dr. Garner, because I think, I think it's to be able to have that option of coming in or not, then I think that's probably, it's going to really help a lot of folks because like I said, for me sitting in this class, this is my first online class, right? And so it was a little difficult to follow. So I can't even imagine the rest of you, having to follow this as a regular. But I also want to make sure that if some of you are not, don't have a car and you live a little bit farther, maybe talk to some of your community members to see if they live close to you. Maybe you can walk down to the corner and meet them, as they're driving to school. So then you all can come together. But you all need to have a conversation about that. How do you continue to support each other? So you can get here, you can get to class on time. Class starts at 8, not 8:18, not 8:07, not 8:23, not 9:02 or whatever time it was. Okay, it's at 8 o'clock. And if you all heard when the class started at 8, you said, yeah, I'm not a morning person, then maybe you shouldn't have signed up for Puente. Maybe this wasn't a good time. And I told you all, we're not going to take it personally if you don't want to be part of Puente. It's not something that we're making you do. You have chosen to be in this program as well. Okay, so make those wise choices. Definitely read that book over again with the wise choice process, and we'll have a conversation about it on Friday. Okay, so thank you all for allowing me to be in your space. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, you know, we can continue.
For coming in. Okay, I appreciate the suggestion. I appreciate your presence in here. And again, Emily, thank you for asking that. Okay, come into the class if it's better for you. All right, we can accommodate that. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you. I'll see you next week. Email me if you have any questions. Russa, I'll send you an email, you know, regarding the MOU. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm available to talk tomorrow at 2 o'clock at our usual meeting time. So
Let me check because I think I scheduled somebody already to meet during that